Professor Darwin, it's a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you.
You do amazing work. There are multiple topics I thought I should cover with you. Most importantly, the smart village work that you're doing in India, especially in the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is where you are from originally. How did this idea about smart villages came to you, and how are you taking it forward in terms of implementing it actually on the ground, in not just in Andhra Pradesh, but also in other parts of India, I guess?
Yes, the smart village idea did not come to me, but as destiny would have it, it all worked together very well. I started teaching a course here at Berkeley called Building Smart Cities, and when Prime Minister Modi was here, he invited me to Gujarat to look at the gift city and also develop frameworks with Berkeley students, both engineering and Haas students, business students, to frameworks for smart cities, which we did. But later, that vision was transformed into villages because it seemed that the villages, me coming from a village, seemed to be more relevant in empowering or building people versus building cities, because it goes further with very little investment. And when one of our chief ministers heard the presentations of Berkeley students in Visakhapatnam, because we are trying to do frameworks for Vizag to make Vizag smart, he called me aside to a dinner table and said, why not villages? That's where most of my people live. And we switched over to empowering people with the digital technology to access global markets, because it doesn't take infrastructure, it doesn't take a lot of capital, a lot of investment. And the results are much more immediate when you empower people to help themselves and build their own roads, their own buildings, their own infrastructure, rather than investing in technologies that become obsolete the very next day, unlike in smart cities. And that's what got me going. And the other thing is that I come from a village. I come from probably one of the most remotest villages that had no access to, or resources or tools. It is an untouchable village. It is a village where we grew up dirt poor, and we were all scavengers, and we worked for landlords, and we were oblivious to the world. And one day, I never thought that one day I'll be teaching here at UC Berkeley as a professor, and on how to make villages smart. And it is a journey. And it's a journey that I wrote in my book called The Untouchables, Triumph Over Torment of Three Generations, how entrepreneurship is a great liberator and equalizer, how education is a great liberator and equalizer. My father was the first PhD as an untouchable from South India, and he never got a job there in India, so he came to teach here at UC Scripps Institution of Oceanography in San Diego, and that gave him a lot of liberation. And I came here when I was 16 years old, not having any education, and then I was able to build myself, because equal opportunity is very much available in America. People promote or recognize hard work, and that's how I worked myself up. So all these three elements are so important, where building people, giving them access to resources and tools, is a very real idea. And I think that's the reason why I said, smart villages is a great way to build better communities, better platforms, better business model, and better communities where people can really help themselves and help other people in the process.
The other important element, which I think you mentioned earlier, is not just the government's help that you need, but also you need the corporations to come and understand. It's not just the charity or CSR work. There's actual profitability and a good business model for them to invest in smart villages. So if you can elaborate a little bit on that, I think it'll be good.
Yes. The idea of a smart village will not happen automatically. What we need for a smart village to really scale and empowered is you need a platform. We call that open innovation platform. It is where different companies provide resources and access to people. You also have governments coming onto the same platform and dialoguing with companies, as well as researchers and educators who do research on which models are working and which are not working, and where people come onto the same platform and express their pain points. This is what I'm suffering from. This is what I need. This is what I can afford. This is what I cannot afford. These technologies are useless. These technologies are useful. That kind of a communication happens automatically by self-interest. No one has to drive it, and it's called an open innovation platform. And that's what we're building in India on Smart Village Movement platform, where many people of different backgrounds across industries, whether it's corporate executives or university researchers or government officials or people themselves or startups, knowledge is pooled and accelerated to solve a pain point that the villager is having. And unless on a common platform knowledge is galvanized, it is and it accelerates faster. Because otherwise, if you have knowledge in silos, it doesn't flow. Knowledge sitting in your head or my head, it's useless. It needs to flow from your head to my head and from my head to other people's, so ideas become realities, and those ideas transform into technologies that will give tools and access to people. And that's what we're doing. And open innovation is a way where knowledge has to flow in every direction. It is not unidirectional. Open innovation doesn't mean I'm an open innovation person, give me all your knowledge, I become rich. Open innovation means, give me the knowledge that I need, but I'm going to share the knowledge I have to put it into your business model and create trust among us so both of us win. And if that happens among multiple companies and also multiple disciplines, like researchers from different areas, and then you throw in the mix the grand challenges that people are suffering from, then you find real solutions to a problem very, very fast.
That leads to my next question. Here at UC Berkeley, you are sitting at the Innovation Center here for Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And open innovation, in some ways, is deeply rooted at UC Berkeley campus. And then you also have some good examples of companies who were competitors or who actually are now competitors are coming together to collaborate on this open innovation platform. So a couple of examples of that will make it, I think, a little bit more easier for others to understand how competition is not a bad thing, it's a healthy thing to come together and work together.
Very good question. Open innovation doesn't mean that you only collaborate with your complementers or friends. You also collaborate with your competitors. At Haas, we don't say 1 + 1 = 2. We say 1 + 1 = 11. When two competitors come together, they accelerate the markets much faster on their strengths, on their individual talents, and so they beat the competition because they can together go 10x or 11x in this case. Good examples right now, right here in the Valley. You have Nissan, Renault, and Mitsubishi, all those three car companies under one roof innovating together, so that shared knowledge accelerates much faster than siloed knowledge, where people are hanging on to their knowledge. Knowledge becomes stale if it sits there in your brain. If knowledge is shared, it's like living water. It blossoms, it goes deep into the roots, and it yields much faster. So knowledge has to flow. And as knowledge flows, it galvanizes and ideas are birthed, and the speed to market is much faster than otherwise. And it has to benefit society. Knowledge is there not only to be generated at universities and in companies, but it's meant to flow to do social good. Otherwise, knowledge is useless.
The other good thing about being at a campus like UC Berkeley and then getting involved in open innovation and smart villages is you get the opportunity to work across platforms, across regions, and different people come and collaborate with you. One of the good things about collaborating is that you are taking this conference next year to India with the premier institute, the Indian Institute of Technology in Delhi. Just wanted you to share with us how that came about and what is the genesis of this conference that is taking place in Delhi next year.
Yes, thank you. That's a great question, an important question for me. I have been the person who has been at Haas, at least on our end with AIMA, conducting U.S.-India conference at Berkeley, inviting prominent Indian leaders and many leaders from the Silicon Valley to come and engage so we can accelerate markets. We also found that many of our faculty at UC Berkeley who do research and already engaged with India in many areas, like in the area of energy, healthcare, sanitation, education. Now, these faculty are saying to me, why don't we go and collaborate with Indian institutions and Indian government and Indian companies so that we can accelerate this further and do some good. And so this is the premise of our platform next year. We don't call it a conference, we call it Berkeley India Platform. It is a platform by which we will communicate and engage many of the people in government, in corporations, in startups, academia. Together we can solve India's grand challenges. And I think that is the premise of this event. And we are making efforts to invite Prime Minister Modi, and I hope that he'll accept, to galvanize this thing so that it'll be a great conference to do India a lot of good.
I think it's always refreshing and a lot of knowledge gaining when I have the opportunity to come and sit with you and talk to you. And thank you again for inviting me to the campus here. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate your contribution like always. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.